This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back.
Yes.
It's been a long week of not, because we didn't do this last week.
Yeah.
And so it seems like it's been a really long fucking time. Like, I don't remember anything now. Like, I don't know what to do.
I know. I
have
just
no
saw
idea.
you over there, like, randomly pushing buttons. And
Yeah, I was just trying to, like, what do I do? Like, just that. Like, you get in the habit of it, and then you stop for, like, a week, and it's just like, I don't know anymore. It's
Right.
not like I actually knew before what to, like,
Yeah, but, I mean, at least you had a rhythm down.
yeah, at a rhythm of
Yeah,
screwing
yeah.
up, and now it's just, like, kind of screwing up
It's
out
all
of work.
new.
We are here, we're back. We took last week off because it was
your
my
birthday.
birthday, and I reserve the right to take my birthday off. So.
Yeah, and you've deserved that, right?
I do, and we had a nice party Saturday for me,
Yeah.
and then Sunday was a day of recovery, which
Yeah.
38 years old, the recovery takes a little bit longer.
You don't bounce back as quickly as you used to.
No, I have my routine for that, though,
Yeah.
too. I have my secrets to bounce back
Yeah.
from
A nice
heavy
greasy
night.
breakfast.
Yeah, Casey's Breakfast Pizza. If you're not from the Midwest, you don't understand what Casey's Breakfast Pizza is, but it is hangover cure.
Yeah.
Casey's Breakfast Pizza and Monster Recovery. Have you ever had one of those?
I've never had a Monster Recovery.
It is pretty much Gatorade and caffeine all in
Okay.
one can. So
Okay.
it's like all the things your body needs after, and then the greasy Casey's Breakfast Pizza on
Yes.
top of that. Wake up, feel like garbage, hit those, and then obviously ibuprofen. I mean,
Oh, yeah, right.
obviously.
Yeah, you gotta take care of the headache
Yeah,
first.
so put all that together, and it's just like a few hours later,
There
it's
you
just
go.
like, all right, I feel pretty good now. But
You heard it first. Patreon subscribers will get that recipe.
yeah, exactly. I've actually done that for years for my recovery methods.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's why I wasn't absent because I was recovering, but it was just my birthday, and
Yeah,
I didn't
right.
I didn't
You had
freaking feel like doing
family
this.
things to do.
Yeah, I didn't feel like
right?
doing this. So, sorry, you all got left out. It was my birthday present to myself. Was I'm taking the day off. I mean, summer is or the spring pushing into summer. I mean, it's been busy as hell already for
right.
you, for me, for
Yeah.
all of us. So. I was just like, I'm going to take my birthday off. So I apologize to you people for leaving you high and dry, but I'm not really that sorry.
No,
So,
no.
But we're
No,
back.
we're back now,
We're
and we're
back,
gonna
and that's
make
what
up for
matters. Welcome to the Break the Bell
Yes.
podcast. This is that show. We don't know what we're doing because it's been a week, so you get to sit here and deal with our shit. If you are listening in the future on like a podcast platform or watching a video, we do this shit live every not every Monday night, but most Monday nights. Not last
95%.
yeah, not last Monday night, but most Monday
Yes.
nights we do this at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You do the math if you're in a different time zone. I'm not about to do that tonight. So, let's see. Derek's here. He says Casey's Breakfast Pizza, a Monster, Tylenol, and aspirin. You'll be good by 9:30-ish. I mean, Tylenol, I throw in substitute ibuprofen.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What is Tylenol? Is it?
Yeah, it's basically.
It's close
yeah,
enough.
it's
It's close enough. But yes, those things, and you'll be good by probably the
The
end
nice
of the
thing
day.
about Tylenol is not only does it help the headache, but it also helps anything from falls you took through the night that you don't
yes,
remember.
absolutely. All of the
Yes.
soreness and achiness. So tonight, speaking of rough nights, no, we're going to be talking about the border crisis again. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been over a year since we talked about the
Every
border
president
crisis.
has a border crisis.
Yeah, and
right?
this current president has had multiple. So
yes,
it's
been ongoing.
If
right?
you remember, well, the last time we talked about this is when they threw Kamala Harris.
yeah,
into,
it was her problem.
She was like the border czar,
Yeah,
but she wasn't going to be on the border. She
Right.
was dealing with the macro issues
Yes,
from
yes.
like she was going to the countries with the problems,
Right,
and saying,
trying to
"You
bribe
know,
them."
You're sending all your people to our borders, and we don't like that. And
Yeah.
we'll give you money to
Yeah.
keep them
H-
here.
How much? How much do we need to give you
yeah.
for you to keep them here?
How much is it going to take to
Yeah.
make you not corrupt? Because that's
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what they're fleeing is corruption.
Yeah.
Corrupt
And then
governments.
she starts
They're like,
getting
"How
down
much
on
can
her
we-"
knees, and
Yes.
he's like, "Whoa, just money's fine."
Save it for Doug. Save
Yeah.
it for Doug. So it just cracked me up back then. It's like, how much money do we got to throw at a corrupt government to make them
Right.
less corrupt?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, look at the Ukraine. We've
Right,
been throwing
yeah.
all kinds of money
Yeah,
at them.
it
They're
doesn't
becoming
help them
so
either.
much less corrupt, obviously. So just throw them at all these nations that are sending our people.
Yeah.
Is there a solution? I guess all this to say Title 42 has currently ended. And
You're right,
Title
right.
42 was the COVID era. Well, it
Right.
actually goes way back to
yeah.
but it's like a pandemic era, like a health. You can close your border for health concerns.
Right.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
We
is
didn't
what
want
it
you to
said.
bring infectious disease over.
Yeah, and
right?
so it was bumped up by Trump during COVID, and then Biden's like, I'm going to get rid of Title 42, and then it stayed, and then now all of a sudden it's gone.
Right.
So what happens now? I guess that's what we're going to talk
Exactly.
about tonight. Is it going to be like borders wide open where people are just running through and
Yeah.
flowing through? Or, I mean, there's also this whole thing that Joe Biden sent the military to the border at
Yeah.
the same time. So we got a lot of shit going on down there right now.
He's got a lot of stuff going on, and the problem is like a lot of your mainstream legacy news is not giving you the full story, right? I mean, they're just
Can
kind
we
of.
stop calling them legacy
I don't know
news?
what they're called
like, can
anymore,
we
man.
like the shit show news?
Yeah,
like,
I'm down with shit show.
yeah, there's nothing legacy about them,
No.
but yeah. I mean, you're getting stories from both sides. You're
Right.
getting all this information that the borders are open, the borders are fine, the border actually there's 50% less people coming through the
Yes.
borders
And-
now.
And
now
that's what they're reporting all over the
Right.
place, and people are like, "Oh, well, that's great."
Yeah. So we're gonna look at all of that
Yes.
and dissect it and see what we come up with, because probably not gonna get too far out of it.
Yeah.
We are not border experts, which is
No.
why we are not in Kamala Harris's
Exactly.
position right now.
I've always thought, though, if I ever get in real serious economic problems, I'm just going to sneak over to Mexico and then come back. Because
might
I
as
figure
well.
I'll get full benefits.
Oh, yeah,
right?
you might as well. So we're going to talk about all that here in just a couple minutes once we get through this pre-show banter. How you been, Bill? We haven't bantered in a while.
Yeah, we have not
just
bantered.
we haven't had a
Yes.
chance to banter.
Yes. How's the Cardinals doing?
Like shit. That's why I
Okay.
haven't brought them up. They're doing really bad.
All
really
right,
bad.
Didn't
So
mean to bring up that sore spot.
yeah, doing terrible. So we won't get into that.
Okay.
Hopefully by next week, maybe some more positive news. They did sweep the Red Sox, I
Okay.
think, which is the first time they've like won consistently
Okay.
this season so far. So that's good.
That is good.
We got to get into this. We've wasted enough of your time. Make sure you check us out all over the social medias, far and wide, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Twitters.
That's
Tick-
all I can think of.
That's all I can think of. We
Yeah.
have a TikTok, but we don't
We
do nothing on it.
Oh.
We've had this conversation at least
yeah, I
six
know.
times.
I
And
forget
every time you're like
2 months. We do?
you're like, we have TikTok? Yes, Bill. We still
Yeah.
have TikTok.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to believe, but
Mhm.
no, we don't do anything on it. So if you guys hang out on TikTok, hit us up and maybe I'll start doing something on it.
Would you do some like crazy little dance?
No,
while you do
probably
the
not.
news?
No, not at all. You can find us on our handle. Good God, man. At Break the Bell Pod on all those platforms. I think TikTok is the same handle too. Break the Bell Pod is the handle. Share us far and wide so we can become better at this and more popular and famous and all the things that we say every week.
Yeah.
Rich.
Powerful.
powerful. We can become like lots of women and I don't know, things flowing.
Things. A lot of things.
I don't know. Yeah, just help us out.
Yeah.
Anything.
Help
We'll
a brother
take anything right now. Like, subscribe, share, all the stuff that we tell you to do every single week. Some of you are doing it. Some of you are not. So do it.
Don't slack.
I mean, stop slacking and do it. I'm ready to get into the show. I've
Let's
got
do it.
nothing else.
Let's do it.
Let's get right into the show. When we come back, we're going to talk about the ongoing shit show at the border with the end of Title 42. So we'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What are you saying?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What'd you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, baby.
What did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
And we're back. Again. Do you remember Title 42, Bill? Do you remember that racist policy that was put in place by Donald J. Trump?
It was all over the debates.
Yep.
It was how racist Donald Trump
How
was.
racist he could be for shutting down the migration system, for locking the illegals out. Which you can't even call them. Can you call them illegals anymore?
No.
Yeah, kids in cage. Yeah, you remember the kids in cages?
No, they're not. They're undocumented migrants.
I don't even know if you can say that anymore.
Really?
But yeah, the kids in cages
Pre-Americans?
was the big deal. The kids in cages.
Right, yes.
Now, did the cages shut down when Joe Biden took office?
Oh, fuck.
Do you
no.
remember that?
They just didn't let cameras in.
That's probably it. They're like, yeah, we're changing our border policy.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not gonna? No, we're just not allowing.
You just can't see 'em.
Yeah, there's no video, no videography, no flash photography, nothing like that. CD McRae is
Hey,
here.
CD?
I haven't heard from CD in a while. CD,
It's been a while.
how's it going? CD says, "Hey guys." Hey.
Hey.
So I think we've covered a little bit, maybe in the weekend news, that the cages didn't go away.
No.
That the arrests didn't stop.
Right.
That even some of the wall continued to be
Yeah.
built more. And it's just like,
and I think they even shipped more people back.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they're still shipping people back because he didn't end Title 42. Like he
Right.
said, he promised. Biden takes off. He's like, I'm gonna stop this racist policy of shipping them back.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I was not fully aware of about Title 42 is, yes, they did arrest them and send them back, but there was no, legal consequences, no, lockup, severe lockup time. It's just like, you sent them away, and they would turn around and
give them a little pat on the ass and be like, hey, better luck next time.
Yeah, pretty much. So they would just come right back and start all over again.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, Title 42 has ended, which, again, a lot of Republicans are like, well, this is going to cause wide open borders. Not necessarily, because apparently, all of a sudden, now that we don't have Title 42, the Biden administration's like, well, we're going to just start, locking them up and shit, and, keeping them from coming back and all that. It's just like...
Oh, so even more kids in cages.
So more racist.
Yeah,
If Title 42 under Trump was racist, what are the policies? And we'll get into more of these policies. But what is it specifically if you're like, well, Title 42 wasn't hard enough.
Right.
Do you see what's happening there? Like before it was super duper racist, and now all of a sudden when he's facing his own crisis,
right,
and he's got to get rid of Title 42 because they got to end the COVID protocols.
Yeah.
And Title 42 fell
Right,
under
because you can't be successful beating back COVID if you still have COVID policies.
Right. So you beat off COVID. Beat off COVID really
I've
hard.
tried that.
Fast and hard. And then with that, they're like, well, if you beat off the COVID, you also got to get rid of Title 42. And he's like, shit, I've been blaming Trump this whole time on this racist policy and the border thing. It's like, well, now I got to come up with my own strategy.
Right.
And to do that, he's like, I'm just going to come back even harder. And it's, everybody's like, you got people on one side that are like, okay, this you promised this and you promised to end Title 42, which you are, and yay, but isn't this a little bit more of that Trump era? Because Trump tried to push exactly the stuff that he's pushing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And then the Supreme Court comes in and they're like, nah, you can't do that.
Right.
And so Biden's like, I'm going to try that again.
Yeah. But this time...
But he's the counter-Trump. He's not racist.
He is.
He's not
and that's
racist.
it. And so anything he does is automatically going to get spun in a better way.
Well, obviously, because he's not Donald Trump.
Exactly.
So let's look at this new, this new era post Title 42.
Okay.
Post 42, yes. This is from the AP News. It says Title 42 has ended. Here's what it did and how U.S. immigration policy is changing.
And this is from the AP.
This is from the AP,
Okay.
yes. So, this is like...
Going to have a Biden spin.
Yeah, it's going to be on its knees for Biden. The U.S. is putting new restrictions into place at its southern border to try to stop migrants from crossing illegally and encourage them instead to apply for asylum online through a new process.
Well, they must have, computer stations set up at the border?
No. It gets better.
Oh, okay.
It's a phone app.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even shitting you.
Okay.
It is a phone app.
All
so
right.
they can just be walking through. I mean,
walking through the desert
with their
perfect
phone.
signal.
Yeah, I can't get a fucking signal here.
I want to apply for citizenship.
Yes, and it's a government-sponsored app, which
is always down.
It's going to be fucking fantastic. We will get more into that.
That should be a movie.
But it is, yes, just a guy trying to escape a shitty a drug cartel in Mexico,
right.
And his only hope is this government-created phone app, and he has no signal, and that's all the movie.
And he finally gets signal, but then the site is down because it's overwhelmed.
Yes, absolutely. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
All right.
The changes come with the end of coronavirus restrictions on asylum that have allowed the U.S. to quickly turn back migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border for the past 3 years. Those restrictions are known as Title 42 because the authority comes from Title 42 of a 1944 public health law allowing curbs on migration in the name of protecting public health. Disinformation has swirled and confusion has set in during the transition. Look at the new rules and the old ones. Here we go.
Okay.
What was Title 42 and what did it do? So this is in the past.
Okay.
Title 42 is the name of Emergency Health Authority. It was a holdover from President Donald Trump's administration and began in March of 2020. The authority allowed U.S. officials to turn away migrants who came to the U.S.-Mexico border on the grounds of preventing the spread of COVID. Before that, migrants could cross illegally, ask for asylum, and be allowed into the U.S. They were then screened and often released to wait out their immigration cases. Under Title 42, migrants were returned over the border and denied the right to seek asylum. U.S. officials turned away migrants more than 2.8 million times. Families and children traveling alone were exempt. But there were no real consequences when someone illegally crossed the border. So now, I love how they spin this, because back then it was too strict. Now it's almost like, well, it just wasn't strict enough. Like, it's like you're slapping them on the wrist and nobody's holding them accountable. Says, so migrants were able to try again and again to cross on the off chance they would get into the U.S., like you said. President Joe Biden initially kept Title 42 in place after he took office, then tried to end it in 2022. Republicans sued, arguing the restrictions were necessary for border security. Courts kept the rules in place, but the Biden administration announced in January it was ending national COVID emergency, and so the border restrictions have now gone away. Biden has said the new changes are necessary in part because Congress has not passed immigration reform in decades. Hasn't he been part of Congress in the last
47 years?
Yes.
Yes, he has.
The Title 42 restrictions lifted at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday. The Biden administration has put into place a series of new policies cracking down on illegal crossings. Racist. The administration says it's trying to stop people from paying smuggling operations to make a dangerous and often deadly journey. Now there will be strict consequences. Migrants caught crossing illegally will not be allowed to return for 5 years and can face criminal prosecution if they do.
Damn.
Now, I don't understand, like, how is this less racist?
Right, yeah.
Like, before, it was just strictly racist because he didn't allow them in.
And they got turned away at the border. Now they bring them in and they prosecute.
Derek says, do you have to submit all your fingerprints, retinal scan, copies of valid ID, and 3D face scans through the app to get approved? That's a good question. Under U.S. and international law, anyone who comes into the U.S. can ask for asylum. People from all over the world travel to the U.S.-Mexico border to seek asylum. They are screened to determine whether they have a credible fear of prosecution in their homeland. Their case then goes to the immigration court system to determine if they can stay in the U.S., but the process can take years. Usually they are released into the U.S. to wait out their cases. The Biden administration is now turning away anyone seeking asylum who did not first seek protection in a country they traveled through or first apply online through the phone app.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
if they came from, like, Colombia, traveled through whatever state or countries are between, like Mexico, i.e. Mexico, if they did not apply in at least one of those countries first, Biden will turn them away.
Interesting. So how does he know that? I mean, do they get like a little stamp on their hand?
They're probably like wristbands. They collect the wristbands.
Like, beep, beep.
So if they're coming from like way down south, they end up having like
different colored weight. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to have all those in order, like because otherwise, you know. So it says, let's see. Didn't first seek protection in a country. Does that mean they have to seek it in every country they pass through? I feel like they should have to.
I feel like they should too, yes.
It's like, well, it didn't work here. Let's move on to the next one. And they have to get the wristband for each one.
Yeah.
And if they don't have all the wristbands, say they have all of them, but one of them got ripped off in like a freaking scuffle or something. It's just like, oh, shit, I got to go back and get that wristband.
Wouldn't that be a bitch, though? Like, you go through the different countries, you don't hear anything. You're about to get into America, and then Guatemala calls you back and be like, guess what? We approved you.
You're like,
shit, I wanted the U.S.
And then you got to turn and walk all the way back. And it was like the first state, the first country you walked through.
Again, should be a movie.
Like, with the cell phone app.
Yes.
The Biden administration is now turning away anyone who didn't seek protection first in a country they traveled through or first apply online. This is a version of a Trump policy that was overturned by the courts. Advocacy groups sued to block the new rule minutes before it took effect. That was nice of them to go minutes before.
Yeah, right.
They're like, well, we're going to do our due diligence here. We've got 2 minutes to sue. Let's go ahead and let's file the paperwork so we can say that we did something. Because otherwise they're going to be like, oh, you only sued last time because it was Donald J. Trump.
Right.
Now that it's Biden, you're fine with it. And like, I guess we better throw in this paperwork minutes before.
We got to try.
You see, there's a paper trail. We did it.
Right.
Says the lawsuit filed in federal court in San Francisco by the Center for Gender and Refugee Studies and other groups alleged the Biden administration doubled down on the policy proposed by Trump that the same court rejected. The Biden administration has said its new rule is substantially different. How? Elaborate, please. Because if it's substantially, there would be a lot of differences. Like, you could at least elaborate on one of them.
Right, yeah.
No elaboration here.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, it's totally different. You know what's substantially different? I'm not Donald Trump.
Yeah, right.
That's-
Exactly.
that's it.
It's like the term comprehensive, right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, well, we have comprehensive reform.
Oh,
What does that
okay.
mean?
We're
Oh,
good.
okay.
The U.S. has said, because it says who's allowed in, the U.S. said it will accept up to 30,000 people a month from Venezuela, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Cuba as long as they come by air, have a sponsor, and apply online first. Now, what does that do for the people that are walking through the jungles and
Right.
walking? Like, they have to come by air. Does that...
Right. Yeah.
That seems a little classist.
I think that, yes, it is.
Extremely classist.
Because it goes with the sponsor, right?
yeah.
It's like, oh, well, the Clintons have a plane through of Haitians coming through.
Yes. Says the government will also allow up to 100,000 people from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras into the U.S. who have family here if they too apply online. Border officials will otherwise deport people, including turning 30,000 per month from Venezuela, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Cuba, who will be sent back over the border to Mexico. Substantially different
Yeah.
from the racist Trump policies, right?
Yeah. It sounds basically the same.
Now, I hear some positive ideas here, like
Right.
I don't know, withholding the laws that are in place.
Right.
Like, don't if you're going to make it illegal, like I don't know, like hold up making it illegal.
Right.
Like I don't know,
Yeah.
send them away, or make it either make it legal or make it illegal. If it's going to, if you're not going to make it legal, if you're not going to legalize border crossings completely, then stop the border crossings.
yeah.
I mean, that's what you got to do.
Right.
If you're going to legalize it, then fine. If you want open borders, legalize the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Open the borders. I mean, wreck this economy more than you already have.
Right.
So
Yeah.
otherwise, it's just like a bunch of semantics. It's like,
Well, and that's it.
well, we are. We are going to make it easier through this phone app, but we're actually going to make it harder.
Right.
Because if you don't have a phone, first of all,
Right. Yeah.
you don't come by air. You don't have a sponsor.
Yeah.
All this shit, like you're not going to get in.
Yeah,
but
like
we're
you
making
said,
it easier.
But like you said, it's very classist without saying it's classist.
Right.
Right. Because you have to be able to have all these different. You have to be able to afford airfare. You have to have a sponsor. You have to have a phone that you can do an app on.
Yep.
That sounds like a very maybe like 5% of the population of these third world countries.
You ready for this?
Okay.
The phone
lay it on
app.
me.
Not quite there yet, but this line on the phone app. Other migrants also may be allowed in if they apply through the CBP One app. Right now, 740 people per day have been allowed in using the app, which is being increased to 1,000 people a day.
That's horrible.
1,000 a day are being allowed in through the phone app.
Okay.
You're talking how many arrests do you think were made like 2 months ago, a month ago per day, on average?
Arrests?
Arrests. So not just
10,000.
yeah, there's like 10,000 people arrested for this shit.
Yeah.
Per day. And they're like, we're gonna make this easier. We're gonna have a phone app and we're gonna have a lottery of 1,000. And good luck getting into the phone app.
Yeah. Right.
So, what about the families? Families crossing the border illegally will be subject to curfews, and the head of household will have to wear an ankle monitoring bracelet. I'm fine with this.
Absolutely.
Like, if you don't want to stick them in the cages, put a fucking ankle bracelet on.
Technology.
Yeah. I mean, we do it to like house arrest people all the time. Why aren't we putting ankle bracelets on these people and sending them away?
Absolutely.
It's like, if you don't want to house them here, they can go find a place to stay, but we're going to track them like freaking whales in the freaking
right.
ocean.
Yeah.
It's simple. Or microchip them.
There
Test
you
the
go.
microchips
I
on the
like
immigrants.
it. Yes.
I mean, you want to test the
Yes.
microchips on people. Why not?
Yes.
I mean, it's just like, we don't know exactly what these are going to do. And you took a gamble traveling across the desert anyway. I mean, what's a little more of a gamble?
Exactly.
Implanting this chip in your brain. I mean, it'll be fine. Hopefully. But
if not,
what other options do you have?
Yeah. You're here.
I mean, it makes sense. It's like, microchip them. We'll see. Maybe it'll kill him. Maybe it's horrible. You're horrible. You're fucking horrible, Bill. Families crossing the border will be subject to curfew, and the head of household will have to wear an ankle monitoring bracelet. Immigration officials will try to determine within 30 days whether a family can stay in the U.S. or be deported. Usually the process would take years. What are they doing that would speed this process up from years to 30 days?
I think that they're being generous with themselves. I don't think... I think they look at it on paper and be like, oh, well, if we do it with the app, it'll go a lot quicker.
Obviously. I mean, just log into the app. If they don't use the app, then it's not on us. It's on them.
Exactly.
It's not on us for not getting our shit together. It's on them because they didn't use the app.
And it seems like, again, this is government, so it seems like they're taking a very complicated process and making it more complicated.
Derek says, don't give them an ankle bracelet. Give them a smartphone. Then you can collect even more data off them. Or Derek, microchips.
Exactly.
You're not listening.
You can pick up blood pressure and
all their vital signs and potentially shut them off if we want to. God, you're horrible. The Biden administration considered detaining families. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
They're like, well, what do we do to we can't just send the families back like we are all the singles, all the single ladies. But what do we do? And they're like, well, we could detain them. So you're actually suggesting that we lock them in cages.
Right.
That's what you're suggesting after 3 years of fucking around with Donald Trump and saying he's locking them in cages. You're actually suggesting locking them in cages.
No. There'll be plexiglass walls with holes in it.
Not cages.
They're not cages.
They're rooms.
Yes. Like dorms.
Yeah. Like
we do the same thing to college kids.
Confinement dormitories.
There you go. I like it.
Not cages.
Very PC.
Confinement dormitories. And they're like, there's got to be something better. This is not going to fly. They're like, well, what if we put ankle bracelets on them? And like, the prisoners seem to like the ankle bracelets more than jail, so I guess we could go with that.
We'll offer multiple colors.
The Biden administration considered detaining families until they cleared initial asylum screenings, but opted instead for curfews, which will run from 11 p.m. till 5 a.m. and begin soon in Baltimore, Chicago, Newark, New Jersey, and Washington, D.C., according to a U.S. official who spoke on a condition of anonymity because the information was not intended for the public.
I'm glad our security is lockstep.
Yes. Families who do not appear for their screenings will be picked up by immigration authorities and deported. Seems pretty racist now, doesn't it?
It does.
I'm going to circle back around to this article for the overcrowding because it's fucking hilarious. This whole thing's just hilarious. It's such a joke to me that, I mean, we got to move on, though. So, what do you think so far of these new policies, these post 42 policies?
It's interesting because it's not at all what I've heard conservatives complaining about.
Well, obviously not.
Yeah.
I actually read a thing that said conservatives freaking out about open borders actually could be what is driving people to come to the borders expecting open borders.
And that makes sense.
I was like, that is kind of smart.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, never even thought about that. Like, Republicans are like, oh, Biden's just going to throw the borders wide open. And then the Mexicans are like, oh, I just watched Tucker Carlson and he said the border was wide open. I don't know.
Well, but remember when Biden was first elected and we talked about these long parades of immigrants coming through South America headed towards the border because they all expected to be just given asylum and let into the country, right?
I think both sides are perpetuating this whole shit.
They really are.
It's like, well, when this happens, borders are going to be wide open. So everybody keep an eye on those wide open borders because when 42 goes away, the borders will be wide open.
And we'll probably have 25 million more immigrants in the country.
The immigrants are sitting there like, did you hear that?
Yeah.
I heard the border was going to be open. Did you hear the border? I heard it was going to be open.
Wait, they're giving them each $50,000? Holy shit, kids, grab your bags.
Right. So, where does that leave? Where did I leave off? Let's see. So we have 42 ending.
Yes.
Obviously, the Republicans are saying that everything's going to go to shit.
Right.
Even though can it really go more to shit than it is? Like, most likely it's going to go to shit, but it can't get a whole lot worse. Now, we briefly mentioned Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas.
Yes, the guy that they wanted to fire.
He came out. He's the one that came out and said, "Oh, actually, Border Patrol has seen 50% decrease in migration arrests since Title 42 ends." So they're trying to spin this thing. The media is spinning this thing that, Title 42 really wasn't what you thought it was, and it's not going to make that big a difference when we shut it down. Even though 2 years ago we said how fucking racist it was and we shouldn't have it, but now it's like, well, guys, it's really not. Like, you're making this a bigger thing than it is. Because, and then Mayorkas comes out, he's like, actually, there's been less arrests since 42 ended. Now, that's less arrests.
Yeah, right.
Does that just mean they stopped arresting them?
Right, yeah, they just are, again, catch and release.
Yeah. So this is from The Hill. It says, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas said Sunday that the Border Patrol had seen 50% drop in encounters, so not arrests, encounters at the southern border in days following the expiration of Title 42, a pandemic-era policy that allowed the rapid expulsion of asylum seekers. In fact, over the past 2 days, they're basing this on 2 fucking days. In the past 2 days, the United States Border Patrol has seen an approximate 50% drop in the number of people encountered at our border as compared to the number earlier this week before 42 came to an end midnight on Thursday. He told This Week, whatever that is. Title 42 ended last week, sparking concerns among lawmakers and officials that a surge of migrants would try to cross the U.S. border. Officials were expecting a heavy influx of migrants, but officials said they have yet to see a change in migrant levels in the immediate hours after the rule expired. Now get this. In preparation for the surge, the Biden administration allocated resources to the border, including sending 24,000 Border Patrol agents and military troops and asylum officers.
Interesting.
Do you think maybe that's part of the reason why less people came?
I think that would scare the shit out of a lot of
like,
people.
You see like tanks and shit rolling up to the border.
That would have an effect.
You see how they kind of fudge the numbers here? It's like, watch this. We're not going to do dick.
Right.
While Title 42, while Trump policies, we'll just call it Trump policy, Trump 42 policy, is in place. We're not going to do shit. And then as soon as we end his policies, we're going to secure the borders with 24,000 extra agents and military and tanks and shit. And then we're going to see people like, nope, I don't want to go there. And then we're going to be able to be like, see that with my policies. Well, like we didn't even have to implement policies. We just ended Trump's policies. And look how much more secure the borders. Yeah, because you decided to do something, you dumbass.
Yeah.
It's like when you're not doing dick about it, even though the policy is in place, but you're not doing, like last year, I think it was 2022 or 20. I think it was in 2022. Biden cut $500 million out of the Border Patrol last year.
I remember that.
During the Trump era policies. Yeah. And this year, all of a sudden, he decided to send 24,000 extra troops and Border Patrol agents. And he's like, oh, look, his policies weren't. Well, that's because you defunded his policies.
Right.
And then you overly funded your changeover, I guess, and then you're going to compare like, in the last 2 days we saw a 50% decrease because it may or may not have to do with the tanks that we put on the border, but we saw a 50% decrease.
But and you see the evidence in that with the reaction of the local governments, right? I mean, you haven't heard dick from the governor of Texas, right? Where you would think he'd be freaking out about this shit, right? Like National Guard, I don't know, something. The most you get is people in California are suing because it's too strict.
Right. Now, another thing to realize is the fact that they've already known that when Title 42 ends, they're going to ramp things up harder. So, and they probably made that slightly public. So, in the last week or so, people are like, this is our last chance to run across the border because things are going to tighten up more. Right. And so then you saw kind of an influx in the last like couple weeks, and then all of a sudden Title 42 ends, and they're like, nope, I don't want to get arrested because that's 5 years that I'm locked out of being able to apply for asylum.
Right.
So I it's just interesting that the play on words, that they just make it. They do things to make it look like, well, Trump's policies were a failure. Ours are going to be more successful. Well, that's because you decided to do shit this time.
Right. And I'm sure you'll see that, well, if Biden debates. But you'll definitely see, that in the election stuff.
That'll come up. It's during the Trump era policies that we had to ride those out.
Policies.
And it was the Republicans that kept Title 42 in place because they sued when I tried to drop it, your racist fucking policies. And as soon as they were done, look at that. The border has just fixed itself.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a shit show.
Oh, absolutely it will.
It's going to be a nightmare is what it's going to be. So, increased spending at the border, increased troop presence at the border, some things that if Donald Trump was like, you know what, I'm going to send tanks to the border, the biggest tanks, and I'm going to send the military to the border. I mean, people would lose their goddamn mind.
Yeah. Yes.
What, you're sending our military to the border? How fucking racist are you?
Right.
But for some reason, when it's Joe not racist Biden,
right,
it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's normal. Like, oh yeah, the military. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Secure our borders. How is it that an entire voting voting segment can just be so easily flipped in their mindset? It's like he ran on basically like borders are racist, kids in cages are racist. We need laxer border laws, we need laxer immigration laws. Then all of a sudden he turns around and it's like, we're going to fucking arrest them.
Yeah.
We're going to send in the military, we're going to arrest them, they're not going to be able to come back in for 5 more years. And it's just like, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Because like you said, it's not presented that way.
Well,
so they're not hearing that, so they have no idea.
What are they hearing, though?
Well,
what exactly, besides ending Trump-era border laws, and they're like, "Woo,
yeah, right, exactly."
Ending the
Finally,
that's
the racist is
literally
over.
all they can hear is
that numbers are down,
and
that's
numbers are down. We ended the racist Trump laws, and numbers are down. Woo! It's like, but our rules don't tell them that our laws are slightly more racist,
right,
or equally racist at least.
And I'm curious. What the president of Mexico thinks about a U.S. military presence at his border.
I know. I was wondering that too. Like, does that bother him? Because remember when the Republicans said we should send the military to combat the cartel, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're fucking out of your mind." So, but it's okay to, I don't know. I cannot wrap my head around politics in 2023 anymore. It was getting to a point where it's like, oh, we can kind of understand this. We can understand this side's going to do this. This guy's going to do this. They're both dumbasses.
Yeah.
But now it's getting to the point it's like, I don't like the Democrats are like warmongering, like border patrol agents. What are the Republicans now then?
Yeah. So this is from Reuters. Mexico is cooperating with the United States to avoid chaos and violence on their shared border as U.S. COVID-19 restrictions known as COVID-42 come to an end. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said Thursday. The restrictions, which have blocked hundreds of thousands of migrants caught at the border from seeking asylum since 2020, are set to end Thursday. Let's see. It said authorities were working in the south of Mexico to protect migrants amid an increase of people smugglers offering to take migrants to the United States. He said his administration had decided to send the Mexican National Guard to the country's southern borders and that they had been given orders to not use force against the migrants. So it sounds like they're trying to stop the influx of migrants to the border. He also urged Biden to adopt the good neighbor policies and work with countries such as Cuba and Venezuela so that their citizens do not need to migrate.
So give them all fucking money is what he's saying.
Basically, yes.
Yeah, it's just like, well, you could be a good neighbor and just send all those countries money.
He is encouraging citizens of those countries to not migrate. He has long pushed for the U.S. to invest more in the region to tackle the root causes of migration. There you go. Send
throw
Kamala
money
down.
Just throw. Where's Kamala Harris at? Seriously.
So I wonder, Mexico is probably getting money to cooperate.
Oh, Mexico's getting money. Yes.
So they're like, giving money and be like, hey, just kind of help keep things under control and don't freak out. We're going to send some troops that way.
Right. Yeah. It's I mean, I would not be surprised if Mexico's getting paid off to keep this at the status quo of what this is.
And I bet you the southern border is the shit show right now because
Like south of Mexico?
Mexico is keeping everybody locked up there so that they don't do an influx towards our border.
Probably, yeah.
Because nobody's paying attention to that border.
Right.
Nobody
Nobody
cares.
gives a
It's
shit.
fucking
It's
Mexico.
So I do find it interesting that now all of a sudden, like I was saying, once the Trump era ends, the Trump era policy ends, they all of a sudden start following through with policies so they can make it look like they're having success. Similar to like COVID. You know, when they shut down the fucking economy, and then all of a sudden they kept it. They're like, well, we're going to keep this shut down all the way through the fucking elections. And then as soon as elections were over, it's like, guys, we can start opening back up this economy now.
Right.
And they're like, oh, look at all these, like this boom in the economy that we.
Look at all these jobs.
You fucked it up to begin with. All y'all fucked it up. So, I mean, that's basically what this is. It's like, well, we screwed up the border for the last 2 years by not doing a damn thing because the Republicans didn't want to release the Trump era policies. So we can make them look bad by screwing that up, and then as soon as those go away, we'll actually do something about it.
Yeah.
So you wanted to talk about the phone app.
Yes.
Let's talk about the phone app. Migrants, this is from NPR, migrants are frustrated with the phone app. Would you have guessed?
Not at all.
Migrants. Like, they don't got a lot going for them to begin with, and they're frustrated with the phone app.
Yeah. What's the name of the app?
Does
it say?
Yeah, it does say at some point. I'll get to it.
Okay.
So in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, at the foot of the Paso del Norte International Bridge, a half-dozen young men are hunched over their phones. They're trying to sign up for the coveted appointment for an interview at the U.S. port of entry just across the bridge in El Paso, Texas. One by one, they look up in disappointment, their screens showing a familiar message. System error. Would you have expected anything more from a government website than system error?
Not at all.
I think it'd be hilarious if it was just like a scam. It's like that's literally all it is. It's just,
somebody's going to take advantage of that,
just
right?
a page that says system error. When you log in, the app kicks you out, said Luis Suarez, a 37-year-old from Venezuela, while holding up his phone. The app opens up at 9 a.m., and at 9:01 you can't register.
Jeez.
For migrants like Suarez, the CBP One app is what it's called. CBP, like something Border Patrol.
There it is.
One app is now the primary authorized portal to seek asylum at the U.S.-Mexico border. U.S. immigration authorities touted a major overhaul of the app that took effect last week in response to widespread complaints. And guess what? Didn't work. So they spent a bunch of our money overhauling this app.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stay online for 1 minute. So it opens up at 9 and they say it's down by 9:01.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
But migrants in Ciudad, you should have seen it before the overhaul. It was like 20 seconds. Right. I mean, I could see them doing it. It's like, this is an upgrade. This 1 minute is an upgrade from the last version, which was 20 seconds. So you should be happy. The migrants in Ciudad Juarez said the app is still not working for them. It says it's a waste of time, said Suarez with frustration in his voice. Even now that it's been updated, it just sits on the logo. It sends you back to the beginning, and when you try again, the appointments are gone. You have to wait until the next day. This sounds like the DMV on steroids.
Yeah, right.
I mean, just imagine that.
Yeah.
Like you've all been to the DMV. You know how the government works with lines and shit and appointments.
Yeah.
Now imagine your entire life depends on that, of whether or not you get to be allowed into the country.
Yeah.
And it's one phone app. How many servers, first of all, you think that phone app has?
Oh my gosh.
And they're DMV servers, no less.
Yeah.
You got something over there? You look like
so I downloaded the app. And let's see here. So it says, Okay, information collected. After downloading the app, it says, let's see, you'll be, depending on your user, you'll be asked to enter specific information, including your identified PIN, your first name, your birthday, your last name, country of residence, trusted traveler program number, I don't know what that is, travel documentation, issue date, visa information, photo of documents, email address, carrier name, broker name, importer name, phone number, GPS location, your face image for verification.
Jesus Christ.
Your device ID, including your operating system.
All right, wait. Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
Go back to where it said photograph.
Yes.
Like, read, like, the sentence before that sentence after.
Okay, so it says here, document number, issue date, issue country and expiration date, visa including visa number, issue date, issue country, photo of documents, email address, carrier name, broker name, importer ID, file, phone number, GPS location, and face image for verification.
However, it is completely racist to have a photo ID for a voter's registration.
Right? Yeah. Right.
But this, whatever, I stopped listening again.
No,
so
you're
whatever
good.
all that shit was, including a photo ID or a photograph and GPS location and all that stuff, that's not racist because it's not Donald Trump.
Right, exactly.
Now, Derek Ambrose says, and you kind of covered a lot of this. He says, now hear me out. Now this is from Derek Ambrose, not me. We could have them all wear an armband, transport them across the country by rail, house them in a concentrated area where we could give them all the vaccinations for their safety.
It's funny that he said that because when you were talking before about ankle bracelets, the first thing that came to my mind was gold stars.
Well, you had said something about like traveler ID number or something.
Right.
I'm like,
Papers?
what do they get?
Papers?
Well, I was thinking, are they getting that like their traveler ID number like tattooed on themselves or
no
like
shit. Right?
what the fuck is going on? No. Let's move on. Says Suarez got tired of waiting for the app to work, he said. So he crossed the border and turned himself into Border Patrol last week. He was detained for 4 days and expelled back to Mexico. He's like, well, I might as well get a free trip back home out of this. So I'm going to jump over the border and get a free trip back home. His eyes were bloodshot from exhaustion, but he's not giving up. He wants to get to the U.S. to find a job that will allow him to support his wife and 2 children in Venezuela. CBP, the Custom and Border Patrol, says it's working on minor issues. Like, the minor issues such as it doesn't fucking work, that minor issue. Immigration authorities have been trying to make improvements to the One app. They've increased the number of appointments from 750 to approximately 1,000 per day border-wide. Those appointments are now made available throughout the day instead of at one specified time. We believe that the changes have been working well. The Assistant Secretary for Border and Immigration Policy said during a call with reporters Friday, we fully appreciate that there is strong demand for the 1,000 slots that will be available every day. So individuals may need to wait. Now, I think it should just be, this app could be super fucking easy. You just load it up. You hit a button that gives you a lottery number, and they just pick a number. And that's basically what it's going to be anyway.
It says the average estimated time to complete this application is 10 minutes.
Well, there you go. It should be fine.
Yeah.
As long as it loads.
Right.
But
exactly.
but it shuts down within 1 minute, remember?
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah. And I'm going to delete this app off my phone now.
Hey, add it. So you downloaded the app?
I downloaded the app. I didn't want to...
yeah, you're being tracked now.
Yeah, I know, right?
And you're kind of brown, so you might...
They'll send me back.
You might get deported. So he added, as with any kind of new rollout of a process or technology, we do expect there may be some minor issues along the way, and we've been addressing those as they've been brought to our attention. So, what do you think so far?
It sounds like a shit show, man. Is there any more nightmare to hear? Well, the government has an app that if you just
the
get
DMV
online,
has an app.
Yeah, right.
The DMV has an app.
And how well does that work, right? Do everybody remember Obamacare trying to get online to enroll for health?
Yeah.
I mean,
people are still trying to enroll.
Exactly.
To this day, and Obama's been out of office for 8 years.
Yeah. It just does not sound like a good thing.
So this, I don't know.
Maybe that's the plan. They want to piss people off so bad with the app that people will just give up and go back to their own country.
Just go the fuck home.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's like, you know what? I'll deal with poverty. Fuck it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. That's like, you don't like when it was like lining up and doing paperwork with people in person, you kind of shared 50% of the blame with that.
Right.
If you give them a shitty app that doesn't work, and it's like, the only way to do this process now is to fill out our shitty app, and then the app doesn't work, and it's just like, oh, it's not on us, it's on you.
Right,
We told you, we gave you the phone app, guys.
Right.
Could we have not given you a better way?
Made it easier.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
You just gotta have a phone. That's it.
Yeah.
And we'll even give you the phones, but then if it doesn't work, it's no longer on us.
Right.
And
you
gotta go home if it doesn't work.
I just realized. And I don't know if just because my phone's an American phone, but all that information was in English.
Oh, weird.
There was no like option for different
There's
languages.
No Spanish options. Oh God, that is fantastic. I can't imagine it's because it's an American phone, because there's a lot of Hispanic people.
Well, you would think they'd give an option for like different languages. That's the problem.
Like, we can't understand it. Well, we didn't translate it to Spanish.
Yeah. If you can...
Minor issue.
If you can speak English, then please come to our country. Right?
Man, this is America. We speak English. I mean, again, does it not seem like the whole Democrat Party is, like, turning back into the Republican Party?
Right. No, it just it goes back to the whole, they're basically the same
party.
They are. Right?
I mean, they love war now.
Absolutely.
They hate the border crossings now, and they want all the Mexicans to speak English.
Right.
And they're all about photo IDs all of a sudden, too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. So what do you think about this 5-year ban that all of a sudden they're just like, you know what would be great is if we just punished them for coming illegally.
Right. Yeah, where'd that come from?
Genius.
Right?
I just had this idea. What if we crack down and if they cross illegally, we do something about it?
I think that was a Trump idea.
It
I
was.
think in
That's
the
what I'm
debates,
saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Trump proposed this shit, and the court shot it down because everybody said it was
racist. Yeah.
And now they're like,
great idea.
What if we just like they do something illegal and there's punishments for that instead of just saying, no, that's illegal. Stop. No, just go back. Just don't do it again.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I mean, that kind of
Jose,
sucks.
This is like time 4, man. Try a different river.
Right. It's like, don't you get tired? No. So instead, they're like, if you do this, you have no option for asylum for 5 years. So like, oh, so now there might be consequences to my actions. Yes.
I might have to rethink that.
Maybe. So what's this phone app we're talking about?
Yeah, right. CB1?
Yeah. Oh, it's just fucking playing politics. That's all this shit is.
It is.
It's all politics. Nobody actually cares about the Mexicans. That's the sad part about all this.
Yes.
Nobody gives two shits about the Mexicans.
You're absolutely right.
Or the Venezuelans or the Cubans or whatever. It's just, well, the Republicans don't like borders, so we got to be pro-borders. Then all of a sudden it's like, well, these borders are kind of hurting our bottom line and our voting numbers, so maybe we don't like borders right now.
Right.
It's just
dollars
and cents and votes.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's like, well, actually, probably they're like, in the last election, a lot of these Mexicans didn't vote for you. And they're like, close the borders.
Yeah, right.
Didn't work.
Yeah, right.
The policy didn't work.
Fucking Cubans.
Oh. Yeah, because remember, like, a lot of the Catholics didn't vote for
I remember that
Biden.
they really were pissed off at the Cubans out of Florida because the Cubans were like, well, we don't want a communist country.
But guess what? No more Cubans.
Yeah, right.
What about the Chinese? Do you guys like? Will you? Chinese will obviously vote for. Did you know there's been a major influx of Chinese nationalists coming across the Mexican border?
I think I sent you that article.
Did you? Are you the one that? We'll get into that in a little bit. But that one's really interesting.
Yeah.
Before I get into break, I want to hit this last one because, like I was saying, one side would like you to believe that it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Like the freaking Title 42 ending, it's not a huge deal because wasn't really doing that much to begin with. And then the other side is trying to make it a huge fucking deal.
Right. Yeah.
So we got this congressman from Texas, a Republican, is claiming the situation, or he's dismissing claims that the situation is not that bad.
Okay.
This is worded really weird.
Yeah.
So he dismisses the claims that dismiss how bad the situation. So he's saying it's bad. Is what he's saying.
Okay.
Long way to say it's bad. Because this is Representative Tony Gonzalez from Texas said in videos he recorded in El Paso that showed the border situation is worse than it's being portrayed. He says, "This is what I'm hearing, and on the ground from mayors, from Border Patrol agents, from embedded media. Everyone is saying it's not that bad. I visited El Paso and went to the Central Processing Center." It says, in El Paso, there's over 6,000 people in custody in this particular facility. It's meant to house 1,000. There's 6,000 people locked up in this facility.
Huh. Wow. Okay.
It says it's housing over 3,000. So it's at 450% capacity, this place, that they're not supposed to be locking in cages. But it's not that bad. So what happens? So, I mean, we've addressed the fact that Title 42 is ending, and then we're going to start cracking down more and sending them back in 5 years.
Right.
What about the people that are here
Right.
in those facilities already?
Yeah.
Do we send them back? Do those pre-Title 42 laws apply? Or
Right.
do the post-Title 42 laws apply? I have no idea what just happened. So
yeah, no, that's a valid question. I mean, I'm sure that's something they didn't think about.
Oh, they thought about it. They did.
Well, I mean, maybe they just think that they can use that as an excuse. Well, we got overcrowding here, so we have to release them.
Right. That's exactly
Yeah.
what's going to happen. Am I recording or not?
I thought you were.
I can't tell. Hang on. Time out. I got to make sure my recording's recording. It's still recording. We're
Okay.
good. We're good. I thought I hit something. So that's what I wanted to save to go back to that Associated Press article.
Oh, with the overcrowding.
Overcrowding. So we said we're going to send them back 5 years, blah,
Right,
blah, blah.
Right.
Here's the kicker. Border Patrol stations are meant to house migrants temporarily and don't have capacity to hold the volume of people coming in. Some stations are already too crowded. As a result, agents began releasing migrants into the U.S. with instructions to appear at immigration offices within 60 days. Agents were told to begin releasing in an area where holding facilities were at 125% capacity. Now,
Which
what was
sounds like
El Paso at?
450.
450. So, probably all of them can
Right.
start releasing.
That's my thought, yeah.
Or the average time in custody exceeds 60 hours. How many of those you think are sitting in for more than 60 hours?
All of them.
Probably all of them. They also were told to start releasing if 7,000 migrants were taken into custody across the entire border in any one day. How many were being taken into custody about a month ago?
Was it 10,000?
About 10
Right.
plus thousand. So,
Yeah.
all
so
again.
They're checking all the boxes.
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, well, we're going to crack down on the border, but we have all these thousands, hundreds of thousands locked up. We're just going to
Yeah.
let them in.
Hey, guys, make sure you come back in 60 days. Right?
Right.
Mm.
Obviously. You'll be back, right?
Yeah.
Ankle,
we trust you.
I mean, do they put ankle bracelets on all these people?
I mean, they should, but I doubt it.
I doubt it. Derek Ambrose says 400% capacity. Sounds pretty concentrated. Derek Ambrose is trying to get us kicked off YouTube without doing it. All right. He also says we should fine them for illegally crossing. Maybe we could lower our taxes. Then the long string of ha-ha-has. I mean, that would make sense. It's like, just fine them at $10,000 every time.
There you go. Right?
Cut our taxes down.
Or we could put them to work without paying them. Right?
Or there's that. You can give them all these striped pajama suit
Right,
things
right.
and Jesus. Florida filed a lawsuit claiming the release violates an earlier court ruling. Late Thursday, a federal judge agreed and at least temporarily halted the administration's plan for releases. Custom and Border Protection said in a statement that it would comply with the court order while also calling it a harmful ruling that will result in unsafe overcrowding and undercut our ability to efficiently process and remove migrants.
Because they're efficient now.
The wording here is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, I mean, you're just cutting into what you're screwing up everything we're trying to do. We're trying to make this better. We have the phone app. We got the 5 years. We got we got a good thing
got the
going.
Ankle bracelets.
But if you stop us from we got to obviously start from ground zero.
Right. Yeah.
That's how this we got to just wipe the slate clean, push them all into the country. Right. We'll start now.
Yes.
Now we'll start,
yes.
And any new person will have to.
Yeah.
But all the rest of them, we'll just let them go.
Yeah.
Like blanket asylum or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And
that sounds exactly what's going to happen. So if
It
you're
will.
already here, you've been in the shit show, just go. Just be back in 60 days.
Oh, I forgot about
Maybe.
this part. The U.S. Officials plan to open 100 regional migration hubs across the Western Hemisphere where people can seek placement in other countries, including Canada and Spain. So we're going to have migration hubs
Are you
where they
fucking
can just
kidding
go hit up those hubs. Says there will be hubs in Colombia and Guatemala, but it's not clear where others will be up
So
and
is
running.
that like an embassy? Basically?
It's kind of like a freaking migration embassy where you don't have to walk all the way across the jungle to get rejected here.
Well,
you just go to your local migration hub.
Well,
and
know,
get rejected there.
It saves the people from getting picked up by the slavers and
Right.
the
human
traffickers,
sure.
right?
I don't know. I just see it's
save
just
them for the
more
politicians.
It's more room for money to be laundered.
Absolutely,
That's what it
yes.
sounds
You know,
like.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, let's just go to those countries that have the corrupt governments,
Right.
that the people want to leave.
Right.
And we'll just ask them, is it okay if we just set up a place here
Right.
where people can come to us and be like, we want to leave?
Right. Oh, just $300 million a year? Okay,
Oh yeah, no
that's
problem.
fair, right?
Yeah, we'll lease the land from you.
Yeah, right.
You created this problem. We're gonna create the solution, and you get paid for it.
Right. Yeah.
That's how it works.
That
Look at
sounds
Ukraine.
like American thinking right
yeah, look
there.
at Ukraine. It's great.
Right.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. This whole thing's stupid.
It is stupid. Yeah, like I said, I would love to see where this goes in the next election, if anywhere.
All this is just padding a resume. That's all it
is.
It's just they're trying again to skew the numbers, just like the COVID numbers, because when re-election comes, the COVID numbers are going to come up. Just like COVID numbers came up big time in the midterm elections. So they're going to screw up the numbers, adjust the counting, kind of like they did with the test. Remember when they changed the testing policies, where it's like, well, you don't have to retest.
Yeah.
Now, if you've had the vaccine, so they kind of fudged the vaccine efficacy numbers, because it's like, if you're not vaccinated and you test positive, you have to test negative before you come back. But if you are vaccinated, you don't even have to test positive.
Right.
We don't test you at all.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how we keep the numbers different.
And Biden's gonna come back and be like, "Well, you had kids in cages. We don't have any kids.
Yeah,
in
we
cages.
have 0 kids.
Go look.
cages.
There's no kids there.
There's no kids in the cages. Well, we just killed them all.
Yeah. Good luck finding those bodies.
Right. It's just that's all it is. It's all just an election stunt.
It is. That's exactly it.
And
there's going to be a lot more of them leading up in this next year.
Jesus. And you thought election stunts were bad when we had actual people who could think in the office.
Right.
Now we have a guy that can't think, and there's all these people around him that are like, that'd be a good idea. You should do this.
Yeah.
At least with Donald Trump, he was just like, no, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, right. We're gonna get this
that
right,
will
that's
make
better.
me look really, really dumb, and I am the smartest person.
Yeah.
And just because you thought of it, I'm going to say no because I didn't think of it, and that's your idea, so I don't want that idea to be my idea. I'm going to say something else. But for Biden, it's like, oh, an idea. Yeah, just do that.
Not only that, but we also have a guy that is so fucking corrupt and surrounded by corrupt people that he's going to make bank on anything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that seems to be his goal.
Hunter Biden is probably like invested in these hubs.
Oh, yeah, right.
Somehow.
He's probably already brokered land deals.
Yes.
Right?
He's invested in the phone app even.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yes.
He bought stock in the phone app.
Yes.
He bought stock in the immigration hubs.
Yeah.
But Biden has nothing to do with that, even though they share a joint bank account.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's just how this works. We got to get into break. We're overdue for a break. I want to get into some of the obvious, if the borders were to open up, some of the obvious problems.
Sure.
Like, I don't know, there's the whole, drug issue, which isn't going anywhere either way. There's, terrorists. I'm starting to sound like Donald Trump now. There's terrorists. There's a rapist and a terrorist. You remember that?
Yeah.
The first time it's like, they're sending the rapists and the terrorists, and the second they're like, whoa, dude, you can't say that. And then in the re-election speech, it's like, yeah, the border's a shit show. There was a rapist and a terrorist that crossed the border.
Yeah.
And then they're like, dude, that's racist. It's like, I mean, there's just, I was
one.
just talking about one. Just one rapist and one terrorist, but it was a really bad rapist and a really bad terrorist. And they weren't even the same person, so technically we could say two terrorists, because isn't a rapist really a terrorist? We got to go to break. Then we'll come back and talk about a rapist or something. I don't know. We'll get into it.
Yes.
Maybe we'll talk about if this is a good idea or a bad idea, because it's probably a bad idea.
That's my thought.
Let's go to break. We'll be right back if I can find my button. I lost my button.
I just thought you were doing dramatic pause.
I don't know what I'm doing. Where is my...
Break.
Oh, there we go. We'll be back.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net.
And we're back. Talking about the Mexican shit show. My favorite Mexican restaurant.
That should be a good restaurant.
Yes. So, before we get into the blatantly obvious problems with just releasing, opening the borders wide,
Right.
I still haven't come to terms with if that's actually what's happening or if that's just what the Republicans want you to think is happening, because I just don't know anymore what is going on. Because looking at what he's saying, the administration's saying, it's like, that almost sounds like tighter, stricter borders.
Right. Yeah.
And more racist borders. But then Tucker Carlson or the Republicans are like, well, wide open borders, and it's like, I don't know. I'd have to go see for myself.
Yeah, and again, it's election year, so both sides are going to play. They're going to play on your fears,
right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
So
now, again, they're like kind of giving this image that it's actually going to be better. But like the Democratic mayors of the big cities and stuff don't think that it's going to get better because did you hear how New York City is turning hotels into shelters for migrants?
I have heard that. Yes.
Did you hear how bad it how shitty of a job they're doing?
Yeah, and I think the mayor had come out and was like, "Look, we're running out of room to put people."
Well, he did. But let's get rid of the music. I want to read this because this is such a New York thing to do. Let me see if I can find the article. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is turning hotels into migrant shelters to help deal with the influx of asylum seekers expected in the weeks coming after the end of Title 42. So he doesn't sound like the end of Title 42 is going to make shit better.
Right.
He sounds like this is going to get really bad, guys. Maybe we should start opening our hotels up.
But maybe that's a question that we're not asking. What does it take to sponsor, right, an immigrant? I doubt it's 10 cents a day. I mean, but so is it easy is it easier to maybe sponsor immigrants? I mean, are we bringing in people to be Epsteined? I mean, be like, hey, we got an island for you guys. Why don't you come hang out? I mean, what?
Are you saying is it easier to traffic the immigrants versus the people we already have here? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I believe so.
I don't know what would be easier. Now, the interesting thing is, so first of all, it starts out saying that they're kind of repurposing closed hotels that were closed. Like this Roosevelt Hotel was closed 3 years ago. He said he's using this hotel to provide as many as 1,000 rooms for migrants who are expected to arrive because the end of Title 42.
Was it closed because of cockroaches and shit?
Probably. It's probably a shithole.
Okay.
Across the city, hotels like the Roosevelt that served tourists just a few years ago are being transformed into emergency shelters after the end of Title 42, which had allowed federal officials to turn away asylum seekers. So scroll. A lot of pictures. New York has now cared for more than 65,000 asylum seekers, already opening up over 140 emergency shelters and 8 large-scale humanitarian relief centers, in addition to this one to manage the national crisis, the mayor said in a statement announcing the Roosevelt decision. The storied hotel near Grand Central Terminal served as an election headquarters for New York Governor Thomas Dewey, who in 1948, who fucking cares?
Yeah,
who cares? As the city faces growing pressure to expand its shelter system, it is turning to vacant hotels for those who need a roof and a place to bunk down as they sort out their lives. One of them is the Holiday Inn located in Manhattan's financial district. A few months ago, signs in the lobby window of the 50-story, 500-room bankrupt hotel said it was closed. In February, U.S. bankruptcy judge Philip Bentley approved the hotel's application to sign a contract which will see the establishment house migrants to the tune of $190 per night per room at the taxpayers' cost, obviously. So the city is paying them. This bankrupt hotel, this hotel that couldn't manage its shit.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're like, you should pay us to stay open. And we'll
in a
house
very
migrants.
elitist area.
Right.
Financial district of fucking Manhattan.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't afford to park there.
But they are getting paid. Now it's not like we got to do business. Now they're just fucking guaranteed $190 per room to house these migrants.
Tourists couldn't stay in those rooms for $190.
Says Scott Markowitz of Tartar, Krinsky, and Drogan, attorneys for the hotel's owner, said reopening as a city-sponsored shelter made financial sense. Well, yeah, because you're getting paid to fucking do nothing.
Right. From fucking taxpayers.
The deal will bring in around $10.5 million into the Holiday Inn's coffers over the next 14 months, reports Bloomberg. So it's not we want to take care of the homeless.
$190 a night?
Yeah.
So that's $95,000 if it's at capacity a night.
Well, yeah, I was saying for a fee that will total roughly $100,000 a day for taxpayers.
Yeah.
$100,000 at our cost. If migrants are still in the... Get this. All right, so they have a contract. Holiday Inn has this worked out the contract, $190 a day per
Do they
room.
get a complimentary breakfast?
If migrants are still in the hotel after the contract expires, the city will be required to pay Holiday Inn $750 a night per room.
Holy fuck. And
Per room,
that's
per night.
Why I don't live in New York. Of many. Holy
Somebody
shit.
worked some sort of... Do you think it's just coincidence that they happen to go broke and bankrupt like a couple months ago in this area? It's like, you know,
Yeah.
you got this thing coming down. They're like, you know, this is really working out. And then all of a sudden the mayor's like, you know, we're passing down this law, $190 a night for closed hotels. They're like, we can close our hotel for $190 a night. And then after the contract, $750. We'll make it worth your while to keep them in there past the contract and $750. Says they rent out every room at the hotel at a certain price every night, Markowitz said, adding that it is bringing substantially more revenue than normal operations would have brought in. So he's like bragging about this shit.
Oh, fuck yeah.
This is the lawyers for Holiday Inn. It's like, we're doing great, guys. We worked out this deal with the government. They subsidize us because we suck at business, and we put up their migrants.
Yeah, I think we're going to start sucking at more of our locations.
Yes. It's not new for the city to turn to hotels for New Yorkers without homes when shelters and other options aren't available. During the pandemic, group shelters made it difficult to comply with social distancing rules, prompting the city to rent out hundreds of hotel rooms as quasi-COVID wards.
You know, that's a great point. They don't do this for the fucking homeless people that live in New York.
Yes.
But they're going to do it for all the migrants.
Now, listen to this next sentence here. It is our moral and legal obligation to provide shelter to anyone who needs it.
Wow.
Said the city's Department of Social Services in a statement. Now, one of these hotels, I'm not going to read the article, but one of these hotels, at least one of these hotels has been known. They're an open functioning hotel chain that has booted current reservations. One being like this wedding party that had 36 rooms reserved for their wedding.
And they booted
They
them?
booted them because the $190 a night was substantially more than what they were paying. They booted them. No wedding, no nothing. They're having to like find new places for these people for their wedding party to the tune of like $20,000 or something like that.
Jeez.
What makes it better? Now, remember that statement.
Yeah.
Our moral and legal obligation to provide shelter to anyone who needs it. There is a small business that started in the New York area that worked out an arrangement with one of the hotel chains to house VA vets, like homeless vets.
Sure.
They worked out an agreement with the hotel for like $80 a night and they've been doing it for years there. Well, the hotel gets wind of the $190 a night, and they're like, you know what? We don't like your $88 a night for your vets. We're booting your vets. We're bringing in the migrants for $190.
Wow.
But it's their moral and legal obligation to provide shelter to anyone who needs it, as long as they're paying $190
substantially
a night.
more than what they... Yeah, right.
How many homeless people? Like, there's only like, I looked it up. There's only like 3,500 homeless people that live out in like the public spaces in New York City, supposedly.
Right.
The rest have like shelters and shit like that. But there are like 3,500.
Yeah.
What are we doing for them? Like, are we closing down hotels and is the city paying $190 a night to house those people?
Fuck no.
But it's your moral and legal obligation.
As long as they're making bank. Right?
I don't understand. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
How they...
But nobody's calling them on their shit. Markowitz is sitting there bragging about it, man.
Yeah, the freaking lawyer for her Holiday Inn. It's like, hey, I mean, we've never made this much money. This is great. This is great for business, guys. These migrants are great for the economy. Now, is it really great for the economy?
No.
When, like, economically, the hotel doesn't even have to try to do good business at this point.
Yeah.
What about, like, tourists
Right.
in the area? Because a lot of it's not the hotel chains that necessarily need the tourism, especially when the government comes in and is like, we'll pay you to keep these migrants here. But the small businesses that rely on tourism season, I don't know anything about this district in New York City, but there's got to be, like, some businesses that rely on the tourist season, and now there's no tour. You think those migrants are going to be like, oh, well, let's go to that mom and pop shop down the road and get a good... No, they're...
let's go to Broadway and get that $25 burger.
Right. No, none of that's fucking happening because they can't even pay for their own homes. You think they're paying for their tourist attractions? They're going to go up in the Statue of Liberty or something?
Well, and that brings a valid point is that you got to feed them too.
Yeah, you got to feed them. You got to...
medical
clothe
care.
them, medical, all this shit. But the last thing on their mind is propping up the local economy.
Right. Yes, exactly. Because they don't give a shit about it.
No, I mean, they don't have the money, the finances to give a shit about it. I'm not saying anything bad about them for not propping up our economy. I'm saying everything bad about our government that's like, fuck your local economy, let's house these migrants.
Right, because in addition to them paying all this shit for the hotels... You know the city's getting a nice big grant?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, the city is getting money from the feds, and the feds are getting money from us.
Yeah.
At Ukraine and other places.
Right. Yeah.
Derek says, I have 4 rooms in my basement. Can I rent out those to the government?
I'm sure you could.
I'd have to evict some spiders, but for $190 a night, I would do it. I would too.
Yeah.
I had to evict a couple spiders over the weekend, so... But not for $190, which is some bullshit. So it's our moral and legal obligation to provide shelter to anyone who needs it. As such, we have utilized and will continue to utilize every tool at our disposal to meet the needs of every family and individual who comes to us seeking shelter.
Provided they can pay $190 a night.
Before the surge in asylum seekers, the city was dealing with increased homelessness, packed shelters, and a dearth of affordable housing. New York even announced a plan to send hundreds of migrants to hotels in suburban Orange and Rockland counties across the Hudson River, angering the local leaders.
That's my family's county, Orange County.
Yeah. Rockland had issued a state of emergency, which means migrants traveling to the cities in the areas will be banned from housing migrants. I'm confused. I don't know what that's worded, but it says they threatened to fine hotels $2,000 per day per migrant. So he was...
Wait, what?
I think... I don't know. He was the guy from the ritzy suburban neighborhood, and I think he was threatening to fine the hotels that took in the migrants because he didn't want those
in the area.
dirty migrants in his neighborhood. Keep them back in the city, like away from the white people.
I don't blame him.
So, what's your thoughts on New York, like paying out the hotels, paying the hotels to do this shit?
It's sickening, man. It really is.
But what do you do with it? Like, I don't blame the migrants. They got to go somewhere.
No, I don't blame the migrants.
They're being coaxed here. They're being used as political pawns, like shipped to Martha's Vineyard, shipped to like wherever makes like political sense to make as much of a ruckus as possible.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's just like, I just want a fucking job.
Right.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah. Right.
The people are like, all these freaking dirty Mexicans taking our job. It's like, I don't blame any of the migrants.
I don't blame the migrants
all
at
the
all.
politics and all the countries that made this possible.
Exactly. You know, there's common sense solutions there. They're just not using them because they're using it as pawns.
Common sense. Yes.
Right? I mean, to use a political term.
There's no common sense in politics. So,
no.
There's no common sense solution because it's in politics.
Well,
but
they're not looking for them. They're just using it for press.
Imagine this. Let's say, as the Republicans would say, that an influx in immigration would tank our economy and throw us into the shitter, which anything could. Any government decision will.
We're on the edge.
Yeah,
already,
we're right there. What happens when our economy goes, like, why are all these immigrants here to begin with?
Because their economy's
Because their economy went to shit.
Right.
And their corrupt government made it possible that they could come here. So what happens when our economy goes to then where do they go? Where do we go? Where do we migrate to? Do we go back to Mexico? Do we go to Mexico?
I think so.
Do we go to Cuba and Venezuela or Ukraine? I mean,
Canada.
there's a lot of money in Ukraine right now.
That's true.
A lot of money in Ukraine.
We just got to get there.
We just got to get to Ukraine. Boats. I mean, the Cubans make good boats, I've heard. So maybe we could.
That's a hell of a boat ride, man.
float on a door.
Yeah, right.
Across
Ukraine. The Pacific.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that's the thing. There is no exit strategy for us, right? Nobody wants Americans.
Like, Canada's not even making me want to go there. Like, I would love to live in Canada.
Sure.
Like, the territory of Canada.
Yeah.
But then they're like, oh, but fuck your guns and your rights and shit. And I'm just like, but you got the nice trees and the mountains and hunting and moose. You got moose.
Right, you got moose.
How can you fuck up a country that has moose?
They found a way. Trudeau found a way.
I guess. So I said we were going to get into the obvious problems of open borders, which seems to be the direction we're going. We've all heard of, like, the fentanyl problem.
Right.
And we've all heard that it's coming from Mexico. And we've all heard that fentanyl ultimately comes from China. So how is it getting here from China through Mexico? And I had mentioned in the first half that there's an uptick in Chinese nationalists.
Yes.
I found this article on Reuters titled, "The U.S. official sees no link between Chinese immigrants at the border and fentanyl."
I thought they determined there was a link.
Now there is a link to fentanyl in
but
China.
Not the migrants at the border.
There's a link to, like, fentanyl comes from China through Mexico, but there's no link to suggest that the migrants there brought in the fentanyl.
Gotcha.
You know what? Because they're saying the fentanyl is getting picked up at, like, the posts. They're going through, like, the legal posts and stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
But these Chinese migrants are getting picked up, like, trying to, like, swim across the rivers and stuff. So they're not even, like, anywhere near where the fentanyl is being picked up. It says, our investigators' intelligence show that these are two separate situations. It says, Republicans have repeatedly tried to link trafficking of fentanyl, a powerful synthetic opioid, to the record number of migrants caught crossing the U.S.-Mexico border illegally since Democrat President Joe Biden took office in 2021. About 4,300 Chinese migrants have been caught crossing the border illegally through the first 5 months of fiscal 2023. Republicans who took control of the House of Representatives in January have pledged more oversight of the Biden administration. No Democrats attended the House Homeland Security hearing on what? Who fucking cares? Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz also testified, urged lawmakers to stiffen consequences for crossing illegally, calling the migration levels a crisis situation. Let's see. Where does it say it? Did I skip the paragraph that said it? It says there's no link between a rise in Chinese migrants and fentanyl. Stephen Kagan, an assistant director with investigations of U.S. immigration, said that there's no such ties. What the fuck? So at one point they had said, oh, here it is. The vast majority is fentanyl is seized and intercepted at legal ports of entry, and all the Chinese people are being caught crossing through, like, rivers and shit. So, like, they're trying to smuggle. Like, it's not. The Chinese aren't the ones smuggling across the border.
Right.
They're coming across illegally. The fentanyl is trying to get smuggled through the legal
because
border.
the Chinese are too smart to.
Here's my theory: the Chinese bring it to probably was it Ecuador?
Yeah.
That had the really lax laws with China.
Yeah.
So they bring it with them, right? And then they pass it off to an Ecuadorian. But they got to get back to China.
Right.
So they cross illegally into the United States and like, nope, we're deporting you back to China. Free ride back to fucking China.
Yeah.
They got their fentanyl in to Ecuador through Mexico on the backs of an Ecuadorian. They don't risk crossing the border because, like you said, the Chinese are too smart.
Yes.
They're not going to get caught smuggling the drugs.
Right.
They're just going to, like, during this Title 42 where it's like, oh, you did it again. We're going to send you back home.
Yep.
It's just a free fucking ride home for them.
Yeah, exactly.
They bring it in,
Yep.
and they're like, how do we get home? Walk across the border. It's like,
yeah,
get your ass on a plane back. It's like,
Yeah.
all right,
Okay.
then we'll do it
Sorry.
all.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I won't do it again, I promise.
Yeah, right.
That's what this is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's ridiculous.
Why the fuck would Chinese nationalists be trying to smuggle themselves into our border in the first place?
Yeah, like you said, they just want a free ride home.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And
it's
then
like,
it should be like,
well,
there's no link suggesting these Chinese nationalists brought the fentanyl with them.
finding fentanyl on these Chinese nationalists.
Of course not. Why would they? They're like, oh, I'm Chinese. I'm not very smart. I have drugs in pocket. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's getting here somehow, obviously.
Right. Someone's bringing it over, and with all the people coming over, do the math.
Right. Just suddenly an uptick in Chinese.
Yeah.
And suddenly an uptick in fentanyl, but unrelated.
But no link.
Another big issue with the border that Trump called out, I guess we'll go full-blown Trump, is terrorists coming across the border.
A terrorist.
A terrorist, a rapist. Now, a terrorist, Afghan national, on the FBI terror watch list, got arrested at the border a couple days ago.
Okay.
So, is it safe to say that if the borders open wide open, we might have more than a terrorist coming across the border?
It's definitely possible.
I didn't even know there were still Afghans on the National Terror Watch list. I thought we gave up on the Afghans.
I thought they were all friends now.
I thought we were just like,
yeah,
we're done with Afghanistan.
Yeah, there's no terrorists.
No more
over there.
terrorists.
Don't
We got
need to
rid
worry
of
about
them.
Yeah.
And if there are, it's on them. This is from Gateway Pundit. It says, on Wednesday, Border Patrol agents in San Diego arrested an Afghan national on the FBI's terror watch list who illegally crossed with a group of migrants near Otay Mesa, California. So it says, this is Bill Malugan tweeted out, breaking, per multiple CBP sources, Border Patrol agents in San Diego sector arrested an Afghan national on the FBI's terror watch list after he crossed blah, blah, blah. All the stuff I just said. Yeah. So there's that. There's a terrorist.
Okay.
Also, within the last month, 16 migrant terrorists, according to the Washington Free Beacon, 16 migrants on the terror watch list were apprehended at the southern border back in February.
From Afghanistan?
It's just across the globe, just on different terror watch lists. But they're terrorists. So, I don't know what to do with this. I mean, it's 17 total now in the last, 3 months of the... hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, you're bound to get a terrorist coming across the border.
As Trump called it out.
You're bound to get at least one rapist coming across the border.
Yeah.
Out of 100,000 people.
Right.
I mean, just the odds are against you when it comes to a rapist or a terrorist or a combination of the two.
Well, and again, you have to think kind of like the Chinese. They're not going to come with anything that is going to,
incriminate them.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're not coming in with a shoe bomb.
Right.
They're going to send some Ecuadorian with a shoe bomb.
Exactly. They're not going to have a nuke up their ass.
And they're going to hitch a free ride back because of Title 42.
Yes.
Maybe Title 42 was like the money laundering of people, like people laundering. That's what Title 42 sounds like to me.
Yeah.
It's like, you come in, you bring your shit in, we'll give you a free ride home.
Yeah.
And that's it. And maybe Title 42 wasn't as this fucking racist thing that everybody said it was. It was people laundering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smuggling people in, and the perpetrators get a free trip back to start over again. Or smuggling drugs in, perpetrators get a free trip back to start over again.
Yeah.
So maybe Biden's doing us all a favor by keeping the fentanyl out, by not allowing the Chinese nationalists or the one terrorist to come back for 5 years.
Right.
I don't know. Are they maybe being smart and intelligent about this? Is that a possibility?
No.
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 You're just like, nah. There's something more to that.
No, there's an angle. Someone's getting rich.
What? Because I haven't been able to find out the angle besides the fact that it's fucking Biden, and there's always an angle.
Right.
He just wants his piece of the smuggling.
Absolutely, he does. Right? Maybe he takes 10% off the top.
10%.
He gets a sniff.
Well, where do you think the Clintons are getting their Haiti money? Like one of the hubs is obviously going to be in Haiti for the Clintons, like in honor of the Clintons.
Right.
We're
going to
put one right there.
William Jefferson Clinton
immigration
office,
people smuggling hub.
Right. Exactly.
So, I don't know. We got to have this like network of people smuggling, so we got to form the hubs. I mean, there's something. It's not just Well, there's the votes, obviously. Like the border is going to become kind of a hot topic.
Yeah.
So they got to do something so they can say, look, border numbers are down. The freaking fentanyl levels are down because we paid the Chinese off a little bit to stop bringing their fentanyl in. What's the angle? Like, besides like the conspiracy, like the Great Replacement theory, like bringing all the like, I don't want to go there yet.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we can if you want, but I don't want to go there yet.
I got to think that it's a lot of it is padding the vote. You got a presidential election coming up.
Right.
Biden's not really doing well.
Anything?
Yes.
Biden's doing nothing.
But I mean, if these guys come in and they slap a vote for Biden pin on them as they're coming through the door, right? I mean,
it's like, we'll give you a free phone app.
Yeah.
And a free stay at the Holiday Inn in New York City.
Right.
All you got to do is hit vote.
And
Joe
trust
Biden.
us, in Chicago, New York, San Francisco, they're not going to ask you for your license because they're afraid it's going to be racist.
It's like, you got to have a picture ID for this phone app.
Yeah.
But this is the last time you're ever going to need a photo ID.
Right. Yeah.
All you got to, and we'll track you.
Yeah.
We'll track you. If you don't vote for Biden and or whoever,
we'll send you back.
We're going to send you back, and you have no shot for the next 5 years. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Talk about selling your fucking soul.
Right. Yeah.
So, I've got this final article we might as well talk about. The 17 biggest pros and cons of open border immigration.
Who's this article from?
Connect Us.
Oh, God.
ConnectUsFund.org.
It sounds like a bumper sticker.
Probably, yes. 17 biggest pros and cons of open border migration, besides the obvious cheap labor.
Right.
Number 1. So this is a list of pros of open border immigration. And some of these sound so shitty. Like, it's so shitty. It would eliminate the cost of immigration control at the border. So we don't have to pay Border Patrol if we just have open borders.
Right?
I mean, I'm actually... That would be my biggest reason to have open borders.
But they'll just take the tax dollars and give it to the Holiday Inn.
Oh, yeah, it'll go somewhere.
But we don't need to pay for Border Patrol because we'll just pay for the Holiday Inn for them.
Well, yeah, I had was starting to come up with my own pros and cons. And one was like, the tax money that we're sending to the border, that's ridiculous. It's like, well, but what about all the fucking social programs that we're going to have to pay to support those, like the Holiday Inn? So the money's going somewhere. It's like, shut down Border Patrol and see what happens. Like, so if you just got rid of the Border Patrol, stop paying them.
Right.
They're going to go home. Either A, you're going to have wide open borders, or B, the people in the area are going to
hunt man.
Well, they're going to freaking
and they do. They do.
Yeah. They'll secure the borders themselves. They'll be like, get the fuck off my property.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one way or another, I'm fine with just shutting down Border Patrol, just because it's a government agency that doesn't fucking work. They're just like their phone app doesn't work. The United States spends over $18 billion a year on enforcing immigration laws at its border. A majority of this expense occurs at the southern border with Mexico. Although there are checkpoints at all international airports, Canadian border. Yeah, but what Canadians are trying to come here, really?
Right.
If everyone were allowed to go to whatever country they prefer, there wouldn't be issues with family separations. Yes, there would. Deportations would become minimal. Even Border Patrol would see a reduction in the scope of their...
Which they already are.
A reduction? Right? If there's open borders, we would see an elimination of their scope of duties. Their duties are to patrol the border, Border Patrol. If there are no borders, there's no Border Patrol. There's no Border to patrol. Transitioning to a true patrolling duty to maintain law and order. I guess
to make sure that they're not raping and bringing drugs.
Bringing in the
border,
rapists
right?
and their
And
terrorists.
the terrorists.
Yes. Open borders. Number 2. Open borders would create temporary immigration opportunities.
Like what?
Like immigrating. Having an open border would make it easier for families to improve their lifestyle and livelihood in a variety of ways. Parents could bring their children to a new country so they could go to school. You could receive the medical care you need, a better job, or a variety of additional benefits that aren't available in your home country. The theory of this advantage is that people would come for a few years, accomplish what they need to, and then move back.
Good luck with that.
So it's like, well, if I can just go into the United States to get the health care I need, then I'm going to get better, then I'm going to go back home.
Well,
maybe.
First of all, nobody comes to the United States for health care.
That's true. Number 3, except Mexicans probably. Number 3, it would improve the flow of immigration to each country.
Well, yeah, because nothing's stopping them.
The time and cost to complete the paperwork and follow blah, blah, blah. If you don't care about following the admin costs, then coming right over creates a risk-reward equation that is worth considering for many families.
Okay, but here's the problem. Not all countries are equal, right?
Obviously.
So
like nobody's here is like,
right.
I really want to go to Cuba.
I really want to go to Guatemala.
Yeah, that just sounds like a fucking fantastic
Yeah,
idea.
right.
So it's not going to be this, we'd have this great like back and forth
Yeah, right.
relationship.
Oh, yeah, it'd be like
you
one
send your
giant
people
country.
here, we'll send our crackheads there. I mean, what?
Maybe that's what we should do. Like
Send
equal
all-
exchange.
Yes.
Okay, we'll take 500 people of your people, and we'll send you 500 of ours.
But it's our choice.
Yeah, we get to pick the 500 Texans that are fully armed.
Having open borders would help diversify local economies. And I can get on board with. Like adding new ideas, new perspectives.
Sure.
Great Mexican food into yes. The
I'm
availability
down
of
with
open borders creates an increase in domestic production, creating more profits that work to help the economy. Healthy economies based on immigrant perspective tends to find the most advanced opportunities. Number 5, open borders help increase the population base for communities and economies.
Wait, say that again.
Open borders help increase the population base for communities and economies.
I thought they wanted to decrease the population.
Well, like voter base is probably what they're saying.
Okay, well, that's not a problem.
About 800,000 people become natural citizens of the United States every year. The legalized immigration process allows this to happen with the current restrictions at the border. If those stoppages were disallowed to create open movement, then more people would have an opportunity to select citizenship or permanent residency for themselves. Although there could be security issues to manage with this process, the result of having open borders would be more diversity in each community. With access to more perspectives and experiences, it becomes easier to innovate at every level and business spectrum. I don't know.
I don't know if I agree with
I don't know. It would encourage, number 6, it would encourage more development around the world.
Would it, though?
The number of countries that have gone through a formal industrial revolution is counted at less than 40. Current income levels around the world are less than $2 a day in many countries. If we were to allow open borders, it would force governments in developing worlds to dedicate more resources to domestic improvement.
No, it wouldn't.
If people have a chance to live in a yurt to barely scrape by or a chance to build a modern life for the family, most people are going to choose the second option. You think these fucking people care about keeping their people here?
Hey, I got 100 Rolls Royces now, guys. I mean, they don't care about people.
Most of those countries are in their shitty situation because of countries like us in the first place.
Right, exploiting them.
Exploiting the shit out of them.
Well,
they're getting their money not through their people. That's why the people are just like, fuck it, I'm out. And they're like, I don't care. The Americans are freaking buying us off anyway.
I read a really interesting article about how, like, first world countries are using global warming to basically enslave third world countries' natural resources.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Being able to say, hey, you don't know how to take care of that, so we're going to come in and we'll responsibly, so they don't have a chance to have an industrial revolution because we block it, right? Because we take those natural resources and we exploit them, like you were talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's no different. Nothing's going to change if we open our borders.
No, we'll have more options to exploit more people.
Exactly.
Number 7, higher levels of immigration create lower levels of crime.
How?
Immigrants are underrepresented in almost every relevant statistic about crime collected in the developed world. Even in places where illegal immigration is considered a severe problem, the people who cross a border without permission aren't the ones causing a majority of the felonious acts that occur. Texas estimates approximately 6% of their total population involves illegal immigrants, but they are less than 5% of the prison community. When you compare the actions of people, natural citizens, to those without it, the rate of crime with the latter group is about 70% less. Now, here's the issue I have with this. Part of the reason why illegal immigrants probably aren't committing felonious crimes is because they don't want to get fucking sent back.
Right.
They don't want to. They're laying low. They're like, we don't want to create any noise for ourselves.
Right.
And if you make it legal for them to just walk back and forth, it's less of a major concern if they were to get arrested.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. They like you said, there's no need to lay low at that point.
Higher levels of immigration create lower levels of crime. They're basing this on the statistic of illegal immigrants causing less crimes.
Right. In Texas.
If you have open borders, there's no longer illegal immigrants, and then therefore your statistics go out the fucking window, and that's very reaching to me and stupid. You're stupid. Immigration eliminates the employment gap that exists in each economy. I feel like there's a lot of dumbassery in there. It's like
I feel like this was written by a high schooler.
Yes, or like Kamala Harris trying to explain. What immigration is. In low-skill employment areas, the strong presence of immigrants may indeed depress wages. If we take a look at the issue from a comprehensive labor market viewpoint, this advance shows that open border immigration helps fill in the recesses that form when low unemployment rates exist. Immigrants allow communities to remove employment bottlenecks. They reduce the risk of productivity issues happening at the local level. That means when the income levels of newcomers rise, so do the wages of every other household.
Trickle down.
Trickle up, I guess, is what it sounds like. Like, oh yeah, we get all it. Well, because these people are like illegal, obviously they can't get paid. We can pay them under the table.
Right.
We can pay them less. That brings down the income for everybody. Brings down the wages for everybody. But if they're all making like $17, $18 an hour, we're all making. That's how it works, right?
Right.
Like when minimum wage went up, your pay went up drastically, right? When it went from like $8 to $16, your wages doubled, right?
Yeah.
No,
that's the way it works.
That's not how it works. Open border immigration can reduce retail prices for consumers. How? Immigrants are not the only households to benefit from migration occurs to a specific community. Every employee gains an advantage because of the laws of supply and demand. Executives, lawyers, and translators all have new possibilities available to them, and they may not have had otherwise because there are more people available to
That's a dumbass.
As the demand level rise or new workers, the prices begin to fall for the good. As the demand levels rise or new workers, It's not
how it works.
As the demand level rises, the price actually goes up. As the supply, it really depends. It's supply and demand. It's based on the supply. As the supply rises, the price goes down.
Right.
Or as the demand lowers, the price goes down. As the demand levels rise, the price does not fall for the goods and services in a marketplace. That's not how it works because that's... God.
Yeah, and if you bring in more workers, that you assume the supply is going to go up, that it'll lower prices. That's not true. Look at eggs.
Right. So this is why so many people have so many issues with economics. They don't fucking understand economics.
This is Corgio Artez economics right here.
Yes, this is exactly what it is. Derek says the only reason they want more workers and higher wages is because they make more tax revenue. I mean, that's just it.
I'm down with that. If they're paying taxes.
Open borders would reduce immigrant exploitation issues. Well, no shit. I'm not going to read this. So here's the cons. Number 1, it could reduce the skill of immigrants coming to the country. So right now, like with a kind of the application process, you kind of gotta like we're not just taking everybody in.
Right.
Yeah, it's like we want the doctors and we want the lawyer, like the smart people. And if we just open it to everybody, we're gonna get all the dumbasses here, and we don't want the dumbasses.
But here's the problem: the doctors don't need to come here.
No, we don't need those.
They're already wealthy.
I mean, that's true, too.
Right?
But they're the ones that can get on planes, afford the planes, you know?
Well, and then they just come for vacation, and then they go back.
That's true. Number 2, open borders could make more people eligible for government assistance.
No shit.
Yes! The $190 hotel rooms.
Yeah.
The freaking Medicare.
Yeah.
The freaking food stamps.
Yes.
All that shit.
The phones with the apps.
The phone. Yeah, the Obama phones.
Yes.
I don't even think we need to get into like we sacrifice paying the Border Patrol to paying these people to fucking live here. Now, if they had to come here and we're just like, you're on your fucking own, go. Yeah, come in legally. That's fine. Get a fucking job.
Right.
Buy
Figure
your
it
fucking
out.
food.
Right.
Figure it out like the rest like some of the rest of us.
Right.
Get a job and contribute to society. I am fine with you. If you want to
Absolutely.
come here and
Fuck yeah.
contribute to our society, all those pros with the economy, how you're going to drive prices down because the demand's higher somehow.
Yeah.
Fine. If you're going to make that kind of contribution to my life, then fine. Number 3, it would increase competition for available employment opportunities.
I disagree.
Well, this is a con because they're competing. They took our jobs.
Yeah.
Remember that shit? Yeah, they're competing for the good jobs. So, yeah.
But are they, though, competing for the good jobs?
Well, they're competing for... I mean, if there's a job scarcity, you get more lower paid immigrants in. Yeah, there's going to be that competition there. Because us white people like more money for the work.
Well, but us white people also don't like to work as hard.
It's true, too. Number 4, open border immigration could create overpopulation problems. Really? Keep shoving more people in the same space, it might cause overpopulation. Number 5, some families may struggle to integrate into their new surroundings. Yes.
Yeah.
You're coming to a country that is not your culture.
Yeah.
We saw it when we tried to throw a bunch of Native Americans into the cities. How did that work out for them?
Horribly.
Absolutely, like a shit show.
Yeah.
It's like we're basically doing the same goddamn thing with the Hispanics and the Mexicans and stuff. It's like, let's just throw them in hotels in the middle of New York City and say, go for it.
Right.
You'll be fine. You know, there's
in the fastest moving city in the world.
Yes. Throw them right in the middle of it.
Yes.
Reference point, go back and look at what they did to the Native Americans when they tried to assimilate them by saying, "Oh, just take you off your reservation. We're gonna ship you to the cities. We're not gonna give you a ticket back in case you don't like it. We're gonna give you a free ticket to the city and say good luck.
Good luck. Yeah.
Pat you on the back."
Right.
Didn't work out for too many of them, actually.
Most of them. Yeah.
Diversity can make us strong as humans, but not everyone is willing to embrace that concept. Having new cultures, perspectives, or traditions. What the fuck's a new tradition? In an established area can cause tension. This disadvantage is fueled by fear since we're naturally cautious around people we don't know. If there are more neighbors around that took advantage of an open border policy than people we grew up around, then it can feel like a loss of identity occurs.
Well, if we put them all in one concentrated area.
Yeah, like fences and,
absolutely.
and stuff.
That would be the way to do it.
Yeah, it'd be fine. Number 6, open border immigration would still cause families to split up. Wasn't one of the freaking pros
that they would keep them together?
You can't have that as a pro and a fucking con. Let me find that. Where'd it go?
I know it was in there.
It was in there. I know it was in there.
Yeah.
So I don't like it's not just
Yeah.
me, but
No, I remember that too. It was going to keep families together.
keeping families together, but it won't keep families together. It will still cause
Tear 'em
families to
apart.
split up. Families can't move to another country for free. There must be some sort of resource available to them so they can establish new homes. So more government funding.
Yeah, more
that
government
means
assistance.
that means many of the elements of illegal immigration are still going to be happening in developed countries around the world. Number 7, immigration from desperation does not guarantee results.
Isn't that what most immigration is? Desperation?
Yes. I don't know. So what do you said on this whole border thing? You think it's going to magically fix itself?
No.
Do you think
no.
either side's got a plan here?
No. I think, to be honest, I think the plan is to do a mass amnesty.
Well, yeah, you saw.
Yeah.
It's like, well, after they've been there for 60 hours plus,
Yeah.
we're just going to let them go.
Right. So how
60
many?
hours.
How often are they gonna
If we get to
fill it to
120
capacity?
if we get to 125% capacity, we hit the flush, we
Right.
flush the toilet.
More amnesty.
Yes, and we just
Yeah.
push them out into the
Yeah.
sewers of the
and
United
so that's
States.
and that's the goal. That's the goal.
Well, I do feel like, yeah, you said the goal is like pad the votes or
Right, yeah.
make it look like they did something.
But they've been wanting amnesty for years.
I do feel like they're, and it's not even a great replacement thing. I think it's a plot to just tank our economy.
Oh, I think
that's
so,
what
too.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's replacing the white people. I don't feel like they give two shits about replacing the white people or brown
No.
people. They don't care
They don't
about
care.
black people.
They can
just
control
want to
all
fucking
races equally.
Yeah, they want to fucking tank the economy so that way
Mm-hmm.
we can start this shit over again. Hit
Right.
the reset button, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get into the Great Reset, but that's the ultimate goal is to flatline the economy, and there are ways to do that easily, and one of them is just to flood immigration into. I mean, massive flooding of immigration has never benefited any economy ever in the history of economies.
No.
Just like an influx of like hundreds of thousands of immigrants. Yeah, just I mean, look at like they use the EU as an example. They're like, well, the EU, they just opened their borders up between each other, and look how that's worked out for them. But how many of the EU countries are like closed border to like outside the EU?
Right.
Like, look at Italy. They're like, fuck your immigrants.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, well, you know, you're part of the EU. You gotta. Yeah. It's like, fuck your EU then.
Yeah, you can't travel between countries in the EU, and I find it interesting because most countries are very strict on their immigration. The United States is the only one where people are like, "What the fuck, dude?"
It's like, why are you so strict on immigration? And then you've got like Japan that's like, we don't want anybody who's not Japanese. You got Israel who's like, oh, you're not Jewish, you're not coming here.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We don't like anybody who's not. But
even fucking Mexico is strict on their immigration,
right?
right?
We don't want no damn Ecuadorians here.
Exactly.
Send them to the United States.
Exactly.
They take 'em.
You're not staying, right? I mean, it's fucked up. And to get back to the Great Reset that you were talking about, is it also gives them a population to experiment with, right?
Oh yeah.
You put them in a controlled populace in a building, centralized location in a major city, you give them their basic income
and drugs.
Right, right. Their vaccines,
their vaccines,
right? Their the food, and they just basically exist.
Yeah,
right.
But like I said, test the microchips in it. That's
right.
fine.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you take a population like that and you drop them in the middle of Iowa, and they could probably do something. You drop them in the middle of in Chicago or New York City, what the fuck are they going to do?
Right.
Right.
And that's where they're dropping them,
Yeah.
or Martha's Vineyard,
right,
or Florida.
Yeah,
all the retirement homes or the middles of the cities.
I mean, you come in Iowa, roofing job, right? Plenty of field work.
However, yeah, but look at the cities though. Like, where do like minorities get stuck and not like for generationally stuck?
Right.
It's in the big fucking cities.
Yeah.
They can't get out. They can't afford somewhere else. They're stuck in like the government starts paying for their housing.
Most
They start paying for
expensive
the
fucking
food.
city in the
Yeah.
country.
And like black people are like, we can't get out of the city. We can't afford to.
Right.
And it's like you're stuck there. Now you're just like you're just here. You're just
right.
the system.
Yeah.
So let's take all these brown people and dump them in that same spot where we can get them stuck,
Right.
where they can't get out, they can't support themselves, they'll
They
be
need
pawns
us.
to the system. They need us, so they'll vote for us
Yep.
because we're the ones that are going to keep supporting them, sending them those fat checks and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
that's it right there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not going away. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I am done trying to like fight the border issue. I just say like, just shut down the border patrol, shut down the government spending, stop housing, stop the border patrol, but stop also housing them and just make them fend for themselves.
Right.
And we'll see. Like, I feel like they would survive. Probably
think
better
so.
than some like cushy white guy.
I agree. I think so too.
They would find. I mean, the conditions they've come from, they'd be like, "Oh, you want me to sleep in that freaking gutter right there? That looks
right.
I mean, that looks like freaking luxury compared to what I've
Right.
been sleeping in.
Yeah.
There was
Wait,
literal
you-
shit in my gutter. This
Right,
one doesn't
yeah.
have shit.
Wait, you throw that food away? Holy shit! No, man.
I'll take some of that.
Yeah.
Can I get some of that, please? I don't know. We're horrible humans based on this episode, but
but we're not the only ones.
I
because-
feel like so many problems could just be solved if you just shut down the government agencies.
Oh fuck yeah, they overcomplicate everything.
Housing issues,
Yes.
just go away.
Yeah.
The border issues, it works itself out.
Exactly.
Like if it becomes a big deal, then the local populace will handle it at the local level. They'll be
Yes.
like, you're gonna get some fucking racists. They're
Yeah.
like, we don't want your kind around here.
Right.
But I feel like humanity has developed enough to where things
Exactly.
will work themselves out. But instead, we have a government that tells us how to do it
Right.
and makes us pay for it,
Yes.
and then develops phone apps to do it for them.
Right. Yes. That is
Here's-
only in English.
Here's the government in a nutshell. I went to the Barrel House. Have you been to the Barrel House up in Marion?
I don't think so.
First of all, it's like the worst location for a restaurant. There is literally nothing. It's like housing, like kind of residential area.
Where's it at?
Down. What's Twin something road or Tower? One of
Tower
those.
Terrace
Tower
Road?
Terrace Road.
Oh,
maybe.
okay. Yeah.
There's like a law office and like it's like
oh yeah, I know where you're talking about. Yes, I drove by it. The Y, the new
yeah.
Marion
There's the
Y is
Y.
up there.
There's the Marion Y.
Yeah.
There's like a lawyer's office, and then
Okay.
there's a bar and grill.
Yes,
And it's
yeah.
like, why the fuck would you put a bar and grill here?
Right. Yes, horrible place.
So we go there for Mother's Day. Took
Okay.
her there for Mother's Day on Sunday. And they had one of those robot servers. It looks like a bucket on wheels with a robot. Hi. They had a bucket, one of the robot servers.
Okay.
Where there's like a tray on it. It looks like a bucket with wheels and a tray, and there's like an iPad thing, and it's supposed to map it. It's supposed to take. Now here's the thing.
It's automated?
Sure. Here's the thing. This bucket on wheels that's supposed to be a robot server, the first time we saw it go by, the person was like pushing it and like guiding it to where it needed to be. I'm like, so what's the point of the fucking robot server? The second time, it was doing better. It was getting there on its own. However, a server came out and took the tray off the robot server and put it down on the table. I'm like, what is the freaking point of the robot server if the person this is less efficient because now you forked out thousands of dollars for the robot server and you're paying the actual servers, and then by the time we got our food, the robot server had broken down and wasn't even, and there was just normal servers bringing food. So that is government efficiency at its finest.
You're
and that,
correct in that.
and
Yes.
that's just like my perfect portrayal of that.
Yeah. No, you're not
Just
wrong.
explained out. It's like, let's develop this phone app to make it so much easier on us. And the phone app never works. And we have to hire more people to work on the phone app than we had to hire to just fill out the paper things.
Yes.
And then we have to hire people to troubleshoot the phone app. And we have to hire people to collect, I don't know, sort through the data of the phone app.
But maybe they've outsmarted themselves.
No.
Because these people are going to get on this phone app and they're not going to be able to figure it out because they can't read English.
And
then they're going to be like, fuck this government. I don't want to move to this country because they suck.
I feel like you said it back in the first half that this was the whole goal. Develop this terrible phone app, and they're going to get fed up.
Yeah.
It's like the DMV.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be like, I'm just going to go die in Guatemala instead.
Exactly. I'm going to go get drunk and die in Guatemala. And life is simpler that
Border
way.
crisis solved with a phone app.
Yes.
With a shitty-ass phone app. That's all the time we got. On that note, does the border ever get solved?
Yes.
Either side.
One day they will freely open the border all the way.
And that solves it?
No. No, it'll create more problems, but that'll solve the border problem.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
It'll create a bunch of other problems, but that'll cure the border problem.
Just fire them all.
Yes.
Just fire every government agency.
I agree. Just close the whole thing down.
We'll be fine.
Yes.
We
honestly would be
fine.
Yes, we would be better than fine.
Well, who's going to regulate our food and like the stuff we put in our food? Look at all the poison they put in the food with the regulators.
Oh,
well, who's gonna regulate the roads?
Well, the roads suck anyways, right?
I mean, have you driven down a toll road that has potholes in it? It's like, what am I paying for?
Yeah. You mean I can hunt and fish without getting a license?
Right.
Wow, nice.
No kidding.
I don't have a quota anymore?
I don't know. That's all the time we got.
Yeah.
Terrible phone apps.
Yep.
Border is a mess.
Government in a nutshell.
Doesn't matter.
Yes.
None of this matters.
No.
So you can find all the things that we do and talk about every single week at the Break the Bell podcast. Don't miss an episode ever. Check us out all over social media. Let us know what you think. Are you a border nut? Are you a open borders person? I mean, the libertarian view kind of goes like, you see, they argue more than the right and the left on it. Right. It's like, no, because without laws, we won't have borders. And but I have rights to my land and property, so that means border.
Right.
It goes both directions.
I understand that. Yeah.
I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what's the solution. Who is going to be our border czar, our Kamala Harris, and fix this thing? Let us know how we can fix this horrible situation, this mess at the border. You can find links to everything we do, like I said, at our website, which is www.breakthebellpod.com. We have our Facebook forum, which is where you can come hang out kind of anonymously. It's kind of like AA, but for like crazy people.
Yeah.
You can come hang out with us. Or if you just don't care or people already know you're crazy, I like to hang out on Twitter. Our handle is @BreakTheBellPod. Joseph is here. He said, I'm going to have to rewatch this one. You are horrible people indeed. I agree, Joseph. I agree. Don't listen to anything we say because we're horrible.
Yes.
But definitely re-listen to this. Share this far and wide. I don't know. Do you have any closing thoughts on the border before we get out of here? Any words of wisdom?
It's going to get worse.
The border or just everything?
Yeah, everything.
It's just,
everything. It's election year. Biden's going to try to make big changes.
And
yeah.
I mean, we already did our first,
yeah, we did. Yes, our first presidential
one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and you're gonna want to shoot yourself.
I wonder what RFK Jr.'s politics were on the border. I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
maybe we'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Again, check us out all over the social medias. Make sure you come back next Monday night because we'll probably have another episode because we do it 95% of the time. 7 p.m. Central Time is when we stream this show live, so on Monday night. So make sure you let your friends know and make sure you join us for the fun live experience because it's so much better when you do. And you get to participate in the conversation just like some of the people like Derek and Joseph and other people. Mostly Derek. Specifically Derek. CD was here too.
Yeah.
The more, the merrier. Join us for that. Tentatively, we will be having the 2 Scoops morning show tomorrow. I haven't talked to my brother yet, but look forward to that because it's what we do Tuesday morning sometimes when we feel like it. And Thursdays, but I don't remember the last Thursday we did it. I got nothing else here. Do you got anything else?
I don't. I think
are we good? Have we beaten the horse?
I think we beat the horse.
We beat the freaking horse. So have a great rest of your week. Go to the border and enjoy yourself. I don't know.
Go get Mexican food.
Yes.
Damn it.
Go get Taco Bell. Go get some Taco Bell.
Chorizo with a queso. Yes.
Something.
Do it.
Have a great rest of your week.
Peace.
We'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.